and thank you all for being with us for our Build Your Business event today. We have the privilege of listening to Monique AJ Smith, and she will be discussing the secrets to building a successful team. Ms. Smith, a veteran athletics administrator with over 30 years of experience, launched her consulting business Seeds of Empowerment LLC full-time in March of 2013. She has been conducting workshops for youth, women, educational and corporate organizations, as well as senior citizens since 2005. The B.O.S.S or B.O.S network has listed Seeds of Empowerment as one of the 50 businesses to watch. For more than 22 years, Ms. Monique Smith has provided consultation on Title IX and NCAA compliance, and rules education, as well as served on several NCAA committees. For 2 years, she served as consultant to the NCAA Leadership Development Department by conducting campus and conference workshops for student athletes and athletic administrators. Topics for student athletes have been DISC, step-up bystander intervention, networking, and emotional intelligence. Staff retreats ranged from half-day DISC assessments to full-day retreats on how to rejuvenate your staff and how to reach and repeat success. In addition, Monique hosts the nationally recognized weekly podcast, A Chat in the Garden with Monique AJ Smith, where women in higher ed, specifically athletic administration, are spotlighted. The listener base has grown to over 1,500 member private Facebook communities, 1,500 members in her private Facebook community, where topics such as depression for the high achiever, how to become an athleticpreneur, and women leading football programs are discussed with experts in the form of webinars. Monique likes to say the garden identifies the need, and I go to find the resources to feed that need. With understanding that knowledge is the key to success, Smith customizes her presentations to provide clients with leadership tools to prepare them to make informed decisions. Monique has dedicated her life to marketing the success of others, developing opportunities for the underrepresented, and influencing decision makers to embrace diversity and inclusion. I'd just like to say before we start, just please take note of a few things. At the top of our chat, there are a few links for the Innovation Center, as well as contact information and links for our guest speaker. Lastly, please remember to mute your mics. And if you have any questions at any point during the presentation, please put them in the chat and we will address them. So without further ado, please welcome Ms. Monique AJ Smith.
Well, thank you so much. It's a joy to come across the water virtually for Norfolk State for this Hamptonian. And so I'm happy to be here to talk with you about building a team to free your time. And so what I would invite you to do is that every time that you see the word time, I want you to think of mine, okay? And to help you with that, let's see. Free your mind, and the rest will follow you. That's what we're talking about today. And I just want to give you a brief background about my business so that you understand how I have created this in a sense so that you can see how you can duplicate it in your business. So my company is Seeds of Empowerment. And here's my business model. You heard the introduction that I have a podcast. So my podcast is my lead magnet. It is a marketing tool to lead people to where I really do make my money, okay? So the podcast is called A Chat in the Garden with Monique AJ Smith, where I interview African-American female women in athletic administration and sports business. And so, and those who want to, go into the marketplace, but mainly it is a lead magnet. It's a marketing tool to be able to talk about the other things that I do. And so with this podcast, I have a community. I have a private Facebook group that allows me to engage with the group, which is you can't get money off a like. So you have to create a community that you can engage to. And so having a podcast allows me to guide my listeners to become lifelong customers, okay? And I'm able to find out what their need is and then create that. And so it's very similar to many of the books that you've seen about leaders, and they interview leaders and they become their customers, you see? So the lead magnet is the guests become potential clients, and the listeners become potential clients. So think about that. Think about that. And so the second thing is, oh, I forgot to say this. If you can name the group that sung the audio clip, I got a gift for you. All right. So think about it, and we'll get to it at the end of tonight's presentation. So again, the podcast is a lead magnet to either my companion Facebook group and or my email list. So that's really important. You got to have a way to drive traffic to yourself. And so with that, the private Facebook group has grown to 2,400 people. And so, the podcast has been out for 8 seasons. So my main part, as you will hear me say later on, the main piece of my whole company is doing university and conference workshops and retreats. So my goal is to make university and conference contracts, okay? And my other piece is one-on-one executive coaching. And in addition to getting contracts for universities, I hold my own group coaching and retreats. And when I travel across the country to do the university conference workshops, I'll have a connecting event there. And lastly, and you will see when I mean about expert marketing coaching, it includes the magazine and coaching. So I wanted to give you the background of my business. When I begin to talk about how you grow a team, you need to understand how I have the team working with me in my business, okay? And so, do you have time to design? Do you have time to design? All right, so remember I said, maybe see time, think about mind. Do you have the mind to design? So this is me. And so I'm gonna ask the question, put in the chat, which of these do you not have time to do? So I'm gonna give you a background of what each one of those are. And you can put down as many apply, okay? So the first one, do you have time to design relationships? So it's key. Do you have time to build relationships to go for the ask for business? So if you're always creating, then therefore, social media. And so if that is a sign that this workshop is for you, if you don't have time to build relationships, that's going to be your answer of why you need the information tonight. Do you have time in mind to create leads? Okay, and so some of this, again, I told you that the lead magnet is the podcast. However, it may mean going to another conference or going to another virtual conference. And this happens to me a lot. Somebody may be inside my group, but when they see me on other platforms, they feel they want to know and touch me. So guess what? I have a way They come away from the crowd and they feel comfortable to reach out to me. They'll say, "Are you the lady from the chat in the garden?" And therefore we build relationships. And then guess what? They become a client. But if I am the person doing my social media, creating Canva post, then am I going to have time to be on Clubhouse, go to another virtual workshop, even go to another conference, another athletic conference? Or like I was talking about before we came on here, I talked about being at the MEAC conference and not having any duties and just sitting having a good time. Me sitting in one spot, I was able to get 3 university workshops. Yes. And so that's a closing. Do you have time to close? So, for instance, I'm at the MEAC. I go and I say, hey, you know, I did a conference for AD, let's say, I did actually. I did a workshop for Delaware State University. While I was there, I was able to get 3 others. And then standing there, the athletic director for North Carolina Central says, yes, you really do need to bring her in to do a staff retreat. And so you can't close a deal right there because that becomes a lead. You got to build a relationship. So then you have to get on the phone. So do you have time to close on the phone? Do you have time? So do you have time to create new extensions? So I teach sports marketing at Hampton University, and extensions are things that people can take with them that creates the experience after you have gone. So in my case, the podcast is the experience, okay? So they get a chance to hear career advice from other women in the business. So, but after that, you want them to have something that lingers. So a couple of things. One of them is a t-shirt that ironically came about because I had a virtual reception. I used to have reception every year during a convention. And since COVID happened, I had to do it virtually. So I didn't want any Zoom rooms. So when I sent the Zoom out, I said, tell me what a chat in the garden is. So the answer was podcast, but they gave me long pieces of explanation. It's a place where women can grow, and it's a place where you can get advice and X, Y, Z. And so I said, oh, this information is too good not to use. So I took the quotes and I made a t-shirt. T-shirts sold like hotcakes. That is an example of extensions. This magazine is an example of extension. I was trying to get the listeners to understand, number one, you got specialized knowledge. There's something that you did at one institution that you've done it at another institution that becomes your intellectual property. What's a problem you solve and you're known for it and you can help someone else do that? What is something that you know that can help you put your shingle out as a consultant? And for me, 20 years ago, it was understanding Title IX and how to position yourself not to be embarrassed with a lawsuit. And it was looking at how your dollars are spent using a federal piece, a federal document. And so when you look at that, and even if you are doing well by your female athletes as well as your male athletes, give you an example, if you have one coach that coaches men and women track and field, you need to split, just for this report, you need to split the salary down. But the issue is, and then when they travel, the track with the teams, the expenditures need to be split. And so that was my expertise. And so knowing that, you become with a framework. What's your step 1, your step 2, your step 3, just like I just explained. That becomes my intellectual property, because this is how I say how you do this. And then people will hire you to come in to show them how you do that. And so I've been trying to get my listeners to understand that they can have another income stream, but they're not getting it based on what I'm saying. So I created the magazine so that they could see how they can package their specialized knowledge. So the magazine is something that they invest in, they pay to be in it. It's very similar to an anthology business model. So that's extension. That is example of an extension to your business, to your experience that people can take with them. And it's really important because guess what? Somebody has a t-shirt on. Oh, I know all about Chatting Garden, blah, blah, blah. All right. Brand promise and your brand ID. Do you have the time or the mind to even make good on your brand promise? And that's what I was speaking about working with individuals to help. My whole point is planting seeds of empowerment to lead others to greatness. In addition, another brand promise is help others lead their ship to reach their desired destination. And it takes time to do that. But if you're doing non-revenue producing activities, you're not going to be able to do this. So you need to know what your brand promise is. And that's where you'll be able to see if you're doing something that's not your brand promise, that's not revenue producing activities. And then I got cloud time. I didn't want to say dream time, but cloud time. You know, when you look at the clouds and, you know, when you were a kid, you would see, what images do you see in the cloud? Matter of fact, now my cloud time really is when I wake up in the morning. Even this morning, I met with a client last night and we were trying to come up with her slogan for her article. And it hit me straight out this morning. So you have to have a clear mind, a clear plate, a clean canvas. But do you have the time or the mind to design? Okay. And so that's really, really important. So the first question from today's conversation, it was clearly, what is it that that tells you that you need to have a team? This is it. Do you have the time or the mind to design? Okay. And so, next slide. So here are the examples of extension. So as you can see, you see the t-shirt. Now, I will say, what helped me give me the time and the mind to do this was I was like, ooh, this is some good info. But also, let's just be clear, COVID-19 happened and I had some time on my hands, okay? But I only had time because I had actually contacted one of my contractors to assist me. So she's the one who gave me the silhouette. But after I because I knew what I wanted, because we're gonna catch that. There's only 1 or 2 times that you let your ego get in the way, okay? I said, I'm going to create this because I couldn't really communicate what it was I was trying to show. And so I did it, but I had to go to someone else. I had to get somebody else to give me the silhouette. And then number 2, I had to have somebody to produce. And more importantly, I had to have somebody to distribute, okay? Because if I have to make the t-shirt and then she gives it to me, and then I have to mail it out, guess what? It takes away from my time. I designed it, but I do not have to deliver it. Okay. And then again, here is the magazine. And the magazine now is in, I'm in a production with my fourth one right now. And they're all on Amazon. It's called Significance in Athletics and Sports. And this one that you see here is the first one. And again, the fourth one will come out in August. Oops, I went too far. Let's back that up. Got too happy. So, second thing is that how do you prepare to have a team? So, perfectionist is a key. So, I would say perfectionist and ego. Okay, like I just said, no one can do it better than me. And then the real issue is I don't have time to tell somebody what it is I want to do. You have got to make a decision. Yeah, so you got to make a decision. And so with that, I made a decision I would create it, but after that, I'm not going to be the one to make it. And I'm not going to be the one to send it out. Okay, that takes up a lot of time and money from creating and designing. Okay, so one of the things, and so again, I'm going to ask this question inside the chat. I'm going to ask you a question. What is the best way to fold a towel? What's the best way to fold a towel? And let's see what type of answers we get. Long way in half. Okay, so I'm hearing long way in half. Okay, well, so I'm gonna give you an example as it relates to what we said about our brand promise. The brand promise of a towel is what? What's the brand promise of a towel? Put that in the chat. What is the brand promise of a towel? What is the main purpose of the towel? When you purchase a towel, what's the main thing that you are looking for the towel to do? To dry our body and other materials if needed. Okay, so if the brand promise is to dry our body and anything else we need to get dried, why does it make a difference how the towel is folded? All we want to do is make sure the towel is clean and dry so that when we go get it, it will be able to be useful for our body and anything else. So the point of being perfect does not go with the brand promise. The people just want what you said you're going to give them. And so you're thinking you got to be the one to do it. They don't even care if it's you. If they purchase that material, if they purchase that session, they want the session. Now they may think they purchased you to do the session, yes, but they're not concerned about let's see, if it's me, what I have on. Or my hair, perfect. My hair is not done, so I can't have a session. That's not the brand promise. The brand promise is that you have it, that you take them to the desired destination. So this is where you got to get your mind right. When the song we had, free your mind and the rest will follow. When you free your mind, that it has to be you, that's when you're ready. Because I'm telling you, it's the other part of it. When you free your mind, the money will follow. Because you can't make money if it's always you. So I have a document here, time audit, okay? And it's from Clockwork Life. And it's very interesting. I don't know, maybe I need to come off of well, I'll tell you what. At the end, I will show you how you can get access to this. You'll see this, but a time analysis workshop. So it will have date. And again, let's say you took a whole, let's say a whole week, and you put the date and the activity, the start, the finish, and then add up the total time. Now here is the key, the work type. Are you doing? Are you deciding? Are you delegating, or are you designing? This is really key, because this will tell you when you're ready to use a team. If you got more doing than you have designing, that's really bad. If you have to decide everything, then that's not good either. Especially if you delegate. If perfect, you're going to see about who's on my team, but I have a young lady that's my social media. I don't say I need to approve of it before you post. That defeats the purpose. I'm looking for it to be posted at a certain time every week. And if it's not, if I got to go back and say, have you done? Don't forget, then that becomes a problem. My mind is not free to go take care of something else. And so when you complete this audit, you're able to see what it is that I need. So right now, what my need is, I need to have somebody deal with my business needs, like invoicing, checking, anybody who uses PayPal, PayPal will let you know when somebody skips a payment. But if you use Stripe, you don't get notification. You don't even know somebody missed unless you go back and look. I need a money kind of manager, and I need somebody to do I guess accounting, bookkeeping, somewhat, because at tax time, I'm up here trying to get all my stuff straight. I need to have my stuff completely together every month. So that's how I know what I need is, because that takes up too much time and I'm scrambling at the end. And that means I don't have time to do the other thing, relationship building. The income becomes a little bottleneck and not flowing like it should. That's when you know. When you do this audit and you see that you're doing too much doing, deciding, and not more designing, because when you design, you have another income stream that all ties together with what you're doing. That's the key. Because I mean, honestly, in a revenue producing activity, designing is also doing Facebook Lives, a live stream, because I'm here to tell you, a person would have heard about a product that you had, but when you get on live streaming, you might not be talking about that, but when they see you, it reminds them, oh yeah, I need to go back and look at that email she sent. Oh, I need to go back and look at that direct message she sent. And I'm here to tell you, that happened to me last night. I got 2 sales last night for doing a Facebook Live. Yes. And so that's when you know you need to get a team. When you don't have time to do a Facebook Live. So when I decided to go get a team, this is what I did. Now my team, this is my experience. I do know people, I tried Fiverr, it wasn't good for me. I hired somebody from Fiverr to transcribe my podcast because I was going to use it for a presentation and again to reuse my content. That didn't work out too good. I ended up having to go back and correct a lot of it. And I was like, this isn't good. And I haven't had anybody to transcribe for me per se that I hired, but if I need to, I know to go to a team member here. And so I look within first. This is again, my example. And what I mean is, I told you I have a private Facebook group, but not just that, just your relationships with people. And so the young lady in the top left is Jamala Blaine Harrison of Refined Solutions. And I've known her ever since she was, I want to say, a sophomore, junior in college, which is almost over 30 years ago. And I worked at St. Paul's College. Her father was the athletic director at the junior high. And I was working NYSP, and I could hire her as a administrative assistant. Well, it was ironic because I needed to have somebody who could really handle. I think it was the first year, or I think it was the second year we had the program. So I kind of, again, that perfectionist piece felt like I could, let the piece go. And so I was working the Olympics. I was going to leave for 3 weeks, and the program is only 6 weeks. And so she did a great job. And you fast forward almost 30 years later, unfortunately, her father passed, and she invited, this is during COVID, invited me to a virtual funeral. And she had just reached out to me and said, hey, I have a virtual assistant program. And I just put my shingle out. Now, mind you, she did follow in my footsteps to go into athletic administration, but she came off the track for the mother track for a second. But so I was like, okay, she's in the business. She knows the people or the career that we are, and the importance, here's the key, the importance of highlighting Black women athletic administration, because she's in it and she knows, and she will probably enjoy it. So I said, okay. Then I had a situation where the network that I was on for the podcast, the owner became deathly ill, and he closed down, and he eventually passed, but he was closing down the network. So all of my podcasts from season 1, season 5 had to be downloaded in 2 weeks. And I knew I could not take my time to go do that. That was definitely not going to be able to work. So I said, I have a project for you. And in my mind, I said, if she does a good job with this project, I'm going to ask her to be my engineer. So it worked out well. She did it. She was very professional. And I did pay for her training to be an engineer. It's another option there. You have somebody you trust, you can always pay for their training to do the skill set that you need. So I think that's more important than finding somebody with the skill set and you don't trust them. I had some real bad situations with that. And so the other one is Custom Bling. That is Christy Simon. She's actually a local person out of Portsmouth. I attended a entrepreneur piece conference. Actually, I think it was in Virginia Beach, and loved her work, her t-shirts. And I said I liked her work, and I asked her to, I had purchased something she already had. Okay, so then I said, hey, can you help me design this t-shirt as you saw? And clearly it was like, okay, cool. You design it and you distribute it. And she was like, so people will buy, I will get the money. I'll tell her, here's the order and here's the money that they gave. Simple, okay, simple. And so I already saw her work. The second row are 2 college interns. So I do work on a college campus. I am an adjunct, I'm not full-time, but I teach sports management courses. And so I can see who's got good work ethic, period. And so the young lady on the left is a freshman. The young lady on the right is a senior. And it has been working out great. They do my social media. They create all of my podcasts, social media posts. They contact my guests to be on my show, give them the script, and life is great. And that's been great because that freed me up, because from season 1 to season I would say 5, I was doing it myself. All right. And there may be some other things I can give them, but I will tell you, me asking for the podcast guest is a part of me building relationships. So I don't see that as, I see that as revenue producing activity. So I will continue to do that. But after selecting a date with the guest, I don't need to be the one to contact them to say, here is the script and what things, you know. And right now we are doing this in April, and I'm booked now to February. So it may be that I'll have them contact the guest to confirm. Not sure yet, but I have a baseline. And so even if you don't teach on a college campus, you can become connect with someone who is a professor to be able to do that. And you can get college credit, but these two young ladies don't. I did not pay the senior because at the time, I didn't want to mess with her eligibility. But since we do have name, image, and likeness, I do pay the young lady on the left, who's a freshman, a small stipend to do that. And then on the bottom, these are my contractors. And on the left, I have Darcel Larkin. Her mother is my business bestie. She's the one who told me how to go full time. Had no clue. And she does my video editing and my audio editing for me. And so her mother was doing it. Then she said she could do it. So again, trusted references. And then to the right is a new contracted person I have who this is doing my next magazine. And it's really important. It's about the perfectionist piece. I had to let go of my first designer, even though she did great work. We were just not on the same page, and it became a great heartburn to not feel comfortable to be able to say, I need you to correct this. And so the same thing I'm saying about perfectionists, you really got to be able to feel comfortable with that gut feeling. And so you got to pay attention to that gut feeling, because that gut feeling cost me $250 of my first set of magazines were error. So this is where I found my team. And again, if you find your team, you still have to, I'm not saying, what's the word, decide for them, but you still have to inspect. And when people know that you're going to inspect, that means that they know that your expectations will be checked. So you still have to be honest, have your SOPs. What do you expect so that you can be able to keep your brand promise? So here is the resource I mentioned that, so this also has the time analysis. You can get that at runlikeclockwork.com. Excellent. And I did get the audio book of this and listen to that again to refresh myself. But I like Mike Melowich. I love his business tools, and whether one of them is Profit First has been quite helpful to me. And it's and then another one about fix it, what to fix first. But this piece right here is called Design Your Business to Run Itself, Clockwork. And so the company that he has, again, extension, because he has books, but he partnered with someone. So again, he's living what he said. runlikeclockwork.com, which provides a several documents, and when you click on it, you can actually fill it out online, or you can print it out like I did. And as you can see, I met him and I asked him questions, and I said, thank you so very much for your resources. So I would highly tell you about that. So again, I'm Monique AJ Smith, Seeds of Empowerment, planting seeds of empowerment to lead others to greatness. I like to connect on LinkedIn. Okay, so if you found this quite interesting, please join me on LinkedIn and find me at Monique AJ Smith and say that you watched this training about how to find your team. I am on Twitter, host of chat, and I am on Instagram as Seeds of Empowerment. And so I in the chat, do you have the answer for does anybody have the answer for who is that group? Put it in the chat and I will see it. So I do have the infographic. I made an infographic for this, and it's free for you. If you go to payhip.com/Seeds of Empowerment, again, payhip.com/Seeds of Empowerment, and you'll be able to download this infographic so to remind you. Now, I will say this, that I don't see any winners on the chat. So if you would find me on LinkedIn and tell me the name of the group that's singing the song, I will gift you Clockwork, the ebook. I will gift that to you. So that is the end of my presentation.